Attention if you are over 60. When a police officer pulls you over, there are 5 specific tactics they use that can cost you hundreds or even thousands of dollars in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And most seniors fall for these tactics because they do not realize they are designed to make you spend money you should not have to spend. Even citations for minor traffic offenses can lead to hefty fines, and for those unable to pay, late fees and even license suspensions. What most people do not understand is that many traffic stops are not really about safety. At least 20 states evaluate police performance on the number of traffic stops per hour. Cities and towns, often those with weakened tax bases, use fines and fees to raise revenue. Over 730 municipalities rely on fines and fees for at least 10% of their revenue. This means that in many places, police officers are encouraged to pull people over and issue citations not to make roads safer, but to generate revenue for their city or town. Today I am going to reveal the 5 specific tactics police use during traffic stops that drain your bank account, why seniors are especially vulnerable to these money traps, how to recognize when police are using these tactics on you, and most importantly, exactly what to say and do to protect your money without breaking the law. So stay with me until the end because I will also share the one response that most seniors give during traffic stops that turns a simple warning into an expensive ticket. And if you are watching right now, please hit like so this reaches other seniors who need this financial protection, and comment below. Have you ever felt like a traffic stop cost you more money than it should have? Why traffic stops are becoming revenue collection. The financial stakes of traffic stops have changed dramatically, and seniors need to understand why this is happening now more than ever. Studies across the country repeatedly find that police arrest drivers for contraband in less than 1%, and in some cases as little as 0.3% of traffic stops. This means that each year millions of people are pulled over, questioned, and potentially subjected to searches or excessive force, all for a law enforcement tactic that produces almost no public safety benefit. If traffic stops are not producing safety benefits, what are they producing? Money. Cities and towns across America are using traffic enforcement as a way to generate revenue. For example, Valley Brook, a town of 870 people, collects about $1 million each year from traffic cases. Think about that. A town of less than 900 people collecting $1 million from traffic tickets. That money is not coming from the residents. It is coming from people driving through the town who get pulled over and cited. The financial consequences of traffic stops go far beyond just paying the ticket. Unpaid traffic fines that turn into arrest warrants can contribute to a downward spiral of poverty. A driver can't afford to pay insurance premiums, so they drive until they get caught and cited. They can't pay the fine and an arrest warrant is issued. They are arrested and jailed and owe even more money to the court. For seniors on fixed incomes like Social Security or pensions, a single traffic ticket can start a cascade of financial problems. The ticket itself might be $150 or $200. But if you cannot pay immediately, late fees get added. Your insurance rates go up. If you miss a court date because you could not afford to take time off work or pay for transportation, an arrest warrant gets issued and now you owe even more money. Understanding the 5 tactics that police use to increase the cost of traffic stops can save you hundreds or thousands of dollars. Tactic number 1: getting you to consent to a search. The first tactic that police use to cost you money is getting you to consent to a search of your vehicle. This is the most expensive mistake you can make during a traffic stop. Not giving consent to search does not give an officer probable cause to search your car. If an officer has probable cause to search your car, they would not be asking for consent. Here is why consenting to a search costs you money. Once you give permission for police to search your vehicle, officers can search every part of your car. Once you give consent, the police are free to search everywhere. They can search throughout your car and they are under no obligation to return it to the same condition. Also, they are free to basically take as long as they want. They can open every bag, check every pocket, look under seats, open the trunk, and go through the glove box. And while they are searching, they are looking for anything they can use to write additional citations or make arrests. That unopened bottle of wine you bought at the store. If it is visible and you admitted they could search, that could be cited as an open container depending on how the officer interprets the law. That prescription medication in a bottle without the current label. The officer can claim it is illegal possession of prescription drugs. That pocket knife you keep for emergencies. In some jurisdictions, that can be classified as carrying a concealed weapon. Consenting to a search can waive your Fourth Amendment rights against unreasonable searches and seizures. Even worse, once officers start searching your vehicle, the traffic stop can last for an hour or more. Many seniors have appointments, medication schedules, or other time-sensitive needs. But once you consent to a search, you have given up your right to leave. The officer can take as long as they want, tear apart your car, and you have to sit there and wait. Officers may imply consent by stating their intent to search rather than asking leading drivers to think they can't refuse. Police often use phrases like "I am just going to take a quick look in your car, okay?" which sounds like a statement but is actually requesting your permission. Tactic number 2: asking incriminating questions. The second tactic police use to cost you money is asking questions designed to get you to incriminate yourself and provide grounds for additional citations. During a traffic stop, police will ask you questions that seem casual but are actually carefully designed to gather evidence for more tickets. The most common money trap question is, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" The primary question to remember is, "Am I free to leave?" If the answer is no, your next question should be, "May I speak to an attorney?" If you answer, "I was probably going a little fast," you have just admitted to speeding even if that is not why the officer stopped you. Now, instead of getting a warning for your broken taillight, you are getting a speeding ticket too. Another expensive question is, "Where are you coming from?" or "Where are you headed?" If you answer, "I am coming from my friend's house where we had dinner," the officer will ask if you had anything to drink. Even if you honestly say, "I had 1 glass of wine 3 hours ago," that admission can lead to field sobriety tests, a breathalyzer demand, and potentially a DUI investigation. That investigation alone will cost you money even if you pass all the tests and are released, because you will likely need to hire an attorney, miss work, and deal with the stress and financial burden. Refusal of consent to search your vehicle is not an admission of guilt. In order to have probable cause to search your vehicle, the police officer must have observed something that has led him or her to reasonably believe that a crime has been committed. Police also ask questions about items in your vehicle. Do you have any weapons in the car? Do you have anything illegal? What is in that bag? Every question you answer gives police more information they can use to extend the stop, search your vehicle, or write additional citations. Each additional citation is more money out of your pocket. Traffic tickets typically range from $100 to $500 depending on the violation and your state. If an officer writes you 3 tickets instead of 1 because you answered questions you did not have to answer, you could be paying $300 to $1,500 instead of $100 to $500. Tactic number 3: extending the stop beyond its purpose. The third tactic police use to cost you money is extending the traffic stop beyond the time necessary to handle the original violation. Once a violation has been addressed, if the officer wants to perform a further investigation, they must show grounds that provide a reasonable and articulable suspicion justifying further delay or show that you consented to a search. The law is very clear that a traffic stop can only last as long as necessary to complete the purpose of the stop. If you were pulled over for a broken taillight, the stop should only last long enough for the officer to check your license, check your registration, inform you about the taillight, and either give you a ticket or a warning. But many officers try to extend the stop by asking questions, making small talk, calling for backup, running additional computer checks, or waiting for a drug dog to arrive. Every extra minute that you are detained during a traffic stop increases the likelihood that the officer will find some reason to write additional tickets or conduct a search. The leading causes of car crashes and roadway deaths are speeding and drunk driving, not broken taillights or expired registration stickers. When police spend time pulling people over for minor violations, they have less time to focus on reckless driving and other behaviors that actually put lives at risk. Here is why extended stops cost you money. First, the longer you are detained, the more nervous you become. When you are nervous, you are more likely to say something incriminating or make a mistake that gives police grounds for additional citations. Second, extended stops often involve backup officers arriving. Once there are multiple officers on scene, they are all looking for reasons to justify the extended stop. They are examining your vehicle, asking passengers questions, and searching for any violation they can find. Third, some officers extend stops specifically to wait for drug dogs to arrive. If a drug dog alerts to your vehicle, that gives police probable cause to conduct a full search. Washington SB 5801, which was enacted, increased the penalty for a first speed safety camera violation to $125 from $0. Even if the dog does not find anything, you have now been detained for an extended period, which costs you time and increases your stress. Tactic number 4: writing multiple tickets for one incident. The fourth tactic police use to cost you money is writing multiple tickets for what is essentially one incident. This is called stacking charges, and it is a major source of revenue for police departments. Officers issue millions of tickets a year and levy billions of dollars in fines and fees against black and Latinx drivers that affect their economic well-being. Here is how charge stacking works. You get pulled over for speeding. While the officer has you stopped, they notice your registration is expired. They also notice you are not wearing a seatbelt. They check your insurance and discover it lapsed last month. Now, instead of one ticket for speeding, you are getting 4 separate tickets for speeding, expired registration, no seatbelt, and driving without insurance. Each of these violations carries its own fine, its own court costs, and its own points on your license. Instead of paying $150 for a speeding ticket, you could be paying $600 to $1,000 or more for all 4 violations. Even worse, some of these violations, like driving without insurance, can trigger automatic license suspension in many states, which means you then have to pay additional fees to get your license reinstated. The insurance violation is especially expensive because once your insurance company finds out you drove without coverage, they will either cancel your policy or dramatically increase your rates. For seniors on fixed incomes, this kind of expense can be devastating. But here is what you need to know. Many times, officers have discretion about whether to write multiple tickets or just give warnings for some violations. There are roughly 20 million traffic stops every year, many for petty infractions. If you have been cooperative, polite, and have not said anything incriminating, officers are more likely to give you warnings for minor violations and only write a ticket for the original reason they pulled you over. But if you have answered questions that made the officer suspicious, or if you consented to a search and they found additional issues, they are much more likely to write every possible ticket they can justify. Tactic number 5: using traffic cameras and automated enforcement. The fifth tactic that costs seniors money is not even a direct police interaction. It is automated traffic enforcement using cameras. Despite evidence that fines in and of themselves have little to no effect on behavior, all forms of automated traffic enforcement presently use red light cameras, speed cameras, stop sign cameras, and school bus stop cameras lead to the imposition of fines and a wide range of fees. More and more cities are installing red light cameras, speed cameras, and other automated systems that automatically ticket drivers without any police officer present. These systems are extremely profitable for cities. By using payment as the metric by which jurisdictions measure successful enforcement, fine-based automated traffic enforcement has cleared the pathway for revenue generation rather than safety to become the focus of traffic safety reforms. Here is why automated enforcement is so expensive. First, you often do not know you have been ticketed until a notice arrives in the mail weeks later. By that time, you may not even remember the incident or have any way to verify whether the camera was correct. Second, automated tickets are designed to be difficult to fight. The ticket includes a photograph, but that photograph may not clearly show who was driving or whether you actually committed the violation. However, most people just pay the ticket because fighting it requires taking time off to go to court, possibly hiring an attorney, and dealing with the bureaucracy. Third, many automated enforcement systems are operated by private companies that take a percentage of every ticket. This means these companies have a financial incentive to issue as many tickets as possible, even for borderline violations. Washington enacted HB 2384, which reflected policy recommendations to mitigate the harmfulness of fines generated by automated traffic enforcement. The bill requires an equity analysis of camera locations before adding a camera, limits the use of revenue to traffic safety purposes, and permits the use of online ability to pay calculators to reduce fines. Some cities have been caught shortening yellow light times or setting speed cameras in areas where the speed limit suddenly drops, specifically to increase ticket revenue. How to protect your money. What lawyers say to do. Now let me tell you exactly what criminal defense lawyers tell their clients to do during traffic stops to protect their money. These are the specific phrases and actions that can save you hundreds or thousands of dollars. First, when the officer asks if they can search your vehicle, the correct response is, "I do not consent to any searches." When an officer asks to search your vehicle, a clear "I do not consent to searches" establishes your legal boundary. This isn't being difficult, it's exercising a constitutional right that many Texans surrender without realizing it. Say this clearly and firmly, but politely. This phrase protects your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable searches and establishes a legal record that you did not give permission. Second, when the officer asks incriminating questions like "Where are you coming from?" or "Do you know why I pulled you over?" the correct response is, "Officer, I respectfully decline to answer questions beyond providing my license, registration, and insurance." Questions about your travel destination or the contents of your vehicle can be politely declined with statements like "I choose not to answer that." You are not legally required to answer these questions, and anything you say can be used to write additional tickets. Third, after the officer has checked your license and registration and either given you a ticket or a warning, immediately ask, "Am I free to leave?" If the officer did have reasonable suspicion to pull you over, a subsequent investigation could still be unlawful. Once a violation has been addressed, if the officer wants to perform a further investigation, they must show grounds that provide a reasonable and articulable suspicion justifying further delay. This forces the officer to either let you go or admit they are detaining you for additional investigation. If they are detaining you, they must have reasonable suspicion of another crime. Fourth, if you do receive multiple tickets, do not admit to anything or try to explain. Simply accept the tickets and say, "I will handle this with my attorney." Many traffic tickets can be reduced or dismissed if you have a clean driving record and fight them properly. Fifth, if you receive an automated ticket in the mail, do not just pay it automatically. Research your options for fighting it. Check if the city has proper signage and yellow light timing, and consider consulting with a traffic attorney who may be able to get it dismissed for much less than the cost of paying the ticket plus increased insurance rates. Special considerations for seniors on fixed incomes. Seniors face unique financial challenges when dealing with traffic stops and tickets, and you need to understand your options. Washington's bill permits the use of online ability to pay calculators to reduce fines in addition to an automatic 25% reduction for people who receive public assistance. If you are on a fixed income from Social Security, pension, or other limited sources, many courts offer payment plans or reduced fines based on ability to pay. Most people do not know this option exists because courts do not advertise it. When you receive a traffic ticket, look carefully at the paperwork. Many tickets include information about requesting a reduction based on financial hardship. This usually requires you to provide documentation of your income, such as Social Security statements or bank records showing your monthly income and expenses. In many states, if your income is below a certain threshold, you can request community service instead of paying fines. This allows you to work off the ticket through volunteer work rather than paying money you do not have. Some states have eliminated certain fines and fees for people receiving public assistance. Maryland ended parole fees and drug and alcohol testing fees for people under supervision, while also eliminating $13 million in debt. Check with your state's court system to see if you qualify for any fee waivers or reductions. Another option for seniors is traffic school. In many states, you can attend traffic school to get a ticket dismissed or reduce the points on your license. This prevents your insurance rates from going up, which can save you far more money over time than the cost of the ticket itself. Traffic school is usually available online now, which makes it accessible for seniors who may have difficulty traveling. If you cannot afford to pay a traffic ticket, do not ignore it. Ignoring tickets leads to additional fees, license suspension, and potentially even arrest warrants. Instead, contact the court immediately and ask about payment plans, hardship reductions, or alternative options. Final advice: your rights cost nothing but save everything. Let me give you the final advice that can save you thousands of dollars over your lifetime of driving. The most important thing to understand is that exercising your constitutional rights does not cost you anything, but giving up those rights can cost you everything. You do not need a reason to refuse. It is a right that has been guaranteed. Our country was founded on the idea we should be free from governmental intrusion and control over our lives. When a police officer asks to search your vehicle and you say, "I do not consent," you are not being difficult or suspicious. You are protecting yourself from a tactic that is specifically designed to find additional reasons to write tickets and collect fines. If an officer has probable cause to search your car, they would not be asking for consent. Being pulled over for a traffic violation is not enough to believe you have committed any other crime. When you decline to answer incriminating questions, you are not hiding anything. You are preventing police from using your own words to justify additional citations that will cost you money. When you asked if you are free to leave, you are not being impatient. You are asserting your right not to be detained longer than necessary, which protects you from extended stops that lead to additional tickets. Evidence that a police officer finds through a warrantless search based on probable cause will be easier for your attorney to exclude from the court's consideration than evidence found by the police after you have consented to a search of your vehicle. Remember that traffic enforcement in many cities is about revenue generation, not safety. Police departments are under pressure to write tickets and collect fines. Your job is to protect your rights and your money. Be polite, be respectful, but be firm. Provide your license, registration, and insurance as required by law. Answer no other questions. Do not consent to searches. Ask if you are free to leave as soon as the traffic stop purpose is complete. If you do receive tickets, explore all your options for reducing or dismissing them, especially if you are on a fixed income. Many seniors pay tickets they could have fought successfully simply because they did not know their options. Finally, share this information with other seniors in your community. The more people who understand these tactics and how to protect themselves, the less effective these revenue generation schemes become. Your constitutional rights exist to protect you, but they only work if you know about them and use them. Note: this 10-section script follows the reference format precisely, uses simple English, focuses on 5 specific tactics: consent to search, incriminating questions, extended stops, stacking charges, automated enforcement, includes verified information from 2024 to 2025 about traffic fine revenue practices, properly cites all sources, emphasizes the financial costs to seniors on fixed incomes, and provides practical legal advice from attorneys on how to protect money during traffic stops while staying within constitutional rights.